Day in the life of ordinary seaman explained. Today I'm going to go over the average day of an ordinary seaman in the Merchant Marine. As soon as you get your credentials, your MMC, your TWIC, your passport, you are able to start your journey in the Merchant Marine. And one of the positions, the options that you are able to start out as is an ordinary seaman. That is in the deck department, working the mooring lines, possibly we're doing some type of watch, chipping, painting, all types of the good old deck life. That's how I started. I started as an ordinary seaman after the SIU apprenticeship program, and I am now an able-bodied seaman. So I'm going to go over the kind of typical day you will have as an ordinary seaman, and it will vary for different types of ships. So I'm going to go over what a typical life is like on a tanker for an ordinary seaman and typical life on a container ship, which is pretty basic, because those are two very different lifestyles for an ordinary seaman. But overall, ordinary seamen have a great life, and it's an awesome opportunity in the Merchant Marine and start making that money on the sea. And if you're interested in becoming a merchant mariner and want to start your journey, check out my community, Sailors Connect, link in description. This is where you will get help from me and mariners from all around the world to start your journey as a merchant mariner. We will take you step by step for the best possible route to getting your first job on a ship. We'll take courses, and there'll be a job board there for you. So all the opportunities possible to make it easier for you to become a merchant mariner. If that sounds interesting to you, check out my community, Sailors Connect, link in description. So to start off this video, we're going to go into the very typical side of the lifestyle, more like on a container ship or a typical cargo ship. Then after that, we'll go into what life is like on a tanker, because it can be different. So for an ordinary seaman, this is like, to me, what you imagine when you watch any type of movie with people on a boat. Ordinary seamen, they're living the most sailor lifestyle. Same thing with an AB. The deck guys, they live the most typical life of a sailor. You're working on deck with the mooring lines, getting poured on in the rain while you're throwing those heaving lines to the longshoremen, climbing up the mast to do work, steering the ship, navigating the sea, looking out for other ships on the bridge. The very typical lifestyle of a sailor. But I will give you specific examples of my time as an ordinary seaman just to paint you a picture of what you could be stepping into. So most ordinary seamen are daymen. So they work a 12-hour day from 6 in the morning to 6 at night, typically. Because you don't have the proper qualifications to be a watchstander, or they don't need you as a watchstander if they have all the proper amount of ABs on a ship, which is requirement to have 3 able-bodied seamen on a ship as watchstanders to man the bridge. And if that is so, you have all those able-bodied seamen on board, no need for an ordinary seaman watchman. So you will be with the bosun working all day, 12 hours straight, as a dayman doing deck work. And usually there will be 2 ordinary seamen along with the bosun to do the jobs, and possibly able-bodied seaman dayman as well. But that's a whole nother fucking story. So you will wake up 6 a.m. to get your day started. Now, when the day starts rolling, usually you start off your day with getting some sanitary out of the way. It is either to clean the living quarters, the hallways where everyone is sleeping, sweep, mop, clean the handrails or the stairwells, clean, mop, clean the handrails. Very typical sanitary motions. Maybe even clean the bridge if the ABs don't do well they're on watch. Sweep, mop, clean the handrails. Very basic. You'll do that for approximately maybe an hour, 45 minutes, whatever it may be, and then you will go to breakfast and enjoy your breakfast with everyone else who is up at that time. You'll eat breakfast. You'll have usually that hour off in the morning for breakfast. Go back to your room, hang out, do whatever you need to do. And then you will meet up, you will muster up with everyone who will be working in the daytime on the deck department. So it will be the ordinary seaman, the bosun. It will be whatever AB, 2 ABs on their overtime now, working their overtime, their 4 hours of overtime on deck. You'll be with those ABs. And then the chief mate will come in and assign what the deck department has to do for that day. So the chief mate will give you whatever needs to get done. Chief mate will work with the bosun to figure out how and what the best way to get whatever tasks need to get done. So say you're at sea, typically nothing crazy is going on. You're not doing any crane operations or whatever if you're in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Typically, sometimes you may. What usually has to be done for the deck department is chipping and painting. That is the bread and butter of the deck department. If you are on a ship that transports cargo, anytime you are transporting that cargo and everything is tied down, everything is safe, and you're just transporting the cargo, doing the ship's job for the deck department, most of the time, you're chipping and painting. That's just the reality of it. Weeks at a time of chipping and painting. I like it. I like to zone out, chip that freaking rust out of there, paint that slop up, and then go to lunch. Day's over pretty quickly. So, guess what you're doing as an ordinary seaman? You're going out, you're going to the bosun locker, you're talking with the bosun. He's going to set you up, tell you where you need to chip, where you need to paint. You're going to get all your tools together, your needle gun, your wire wheel, all your safety equipment for your ears, for your eyes, for your face protection, hands protection, all the proper PPE to get started on your job. You will post up with a nice little bucket or a milk crate, and you will sit there hunched over for hours, chipping, wire wheeling, and then later painting those spots. But before we get to the painting, you have to chip and you have to wire wheel. You're sitting there and you're chipping for hours. I'm not going to go too much into detail with it because it's not exciting whatsoever. You wire wheel it. By the time you get the process going already around 9 o'clock, typically, comes your first coffee break, which is a half an hour. You sweep up your spot, make it look clean, you unplug the air hose, you set it up all right there, nice and neat so it's not a tripping hazard for anybody, and you go to your coffee break. You go sit in the galley or your room, wherever you want to go, and enjoy your coffee break for a half an hour from 9 to 9:30. After your coffee break, you go back to your spot and continue the chipping, and continue the wire wheeling, making it all nice and flat and pretty for later on. Now you continue to do that for some time, because this is an all-day affair. Bosun and chief mate decided there is nothing going on, and you need to chip and wire wheel, and then paint for the entire 12-hour day. So that is what you are doing. They put you in this nice little platform, and you just sit there and beat that rust away all day on anything you can see. Anytime you see a spot of rust, you hammer that thing down. You feel like a fucking superhero, saving the ship from the attack of the rust. This is your job. This is what you do all day. Now, as time rolls on, lunch comes around. Full hour break for lunch. You go enjoy your lunch. Some ABs are going to watch now, and other ABs are coming off their watch to do their overtime, and you're enjoying your lunch. Now guess what? You're back to fucking beating that rust up. You're back to beating it up. And you're noticing, I'm starting to get close to being done with my section. Let me start preparing for the paint. Start sweeping it up, getting everything ready. And guess what happens next? Your next coffee comes around. This might be around 3 o'clock, possibly 3 to 3:30. Your next coffee. Go to coffee, do what you gotta do, come back. Meet up with the bosun. He's like, all right, I got your paint mixed up. Here you go. Go paint those spots with the first coat of primer. That safety coat for those spots. You apply all the paint, secure it so there's no rust with the paint, and you move on. You're basically done with a chipping, wire wheeling, painting cycle for the day. The next day, you will apply the next layer because it takes some time to dry. You got to do it early in the morning because you don't want that rust to start seeping through those open wounds on the ship. So early in the morning, you put a second layer of paint on it. That is a very typical day right there. After you do your painting, the bosun will probably use you for help. Sometimes you'll deal with the trash, help him with the trash situation, because the bosun is usually in charge of the trash on a ship and sorting it and maybe compacting it or burning it, whatever it may be on that specific ship. So you will help him with that. And guess what's coming around now already? It's dinner time again. Your day is just flying. You are busy all the time, but it's not hard work. It's just consistent work that hopefully you'll be off doing by yourself when they notice that you are capable of doing it alone. You'll be by yourself majority of the day, and it is awesome. Dinner comes around, another meal, eat it, and this is when you start basically wrapping up your day. You're in the bosun, hang out until the day is over. That's really it, because you might have an hour after dinner, or you might be done at dinner. whatever it is, you just kind of hang out. Now we're going to get into other situations for an ordinary seaman that you might see. For an ordinary seaman, you're going to be involved with mooring operations. It's a very typical situation. You pull up to port, you're working with the mates, you're working with the able-bodied seamen to moor the ship to the dock and work with the longshoremen to get those lines on the dock and reel them in. So as an ordinary seaman for the entry level there, you don't have to do much thinking, you just have to do a lot of listening and paying attention, being aware of your surroundings, because it can be a dangerous situation. Throwing that heaving line out to the longshoremen, they pull it in, they let the mooring lines out, they pull the mooring lines in, throw the eyes over the bollards, and then they tighten up the ship. Very simple situation for an ordinary seaman. Before mooring operation starts, you usually need to pick up a harbor pilot. These guys are the big money makers. What I've noticed in my experience as an ordinary seaman, to set up whatever rigging, maybe the pilot ladder, maybe the ACOM ladder, however your specific ship uses to get the pilot on board the ship, the bosun is in charge of doing that. And the bosun will usually have ordinary seamen come and help him. No matter what time of the day it is, you will be doing that. They usually let the AVs rest because they have all screwed up watch schedules and they don't get proper amount of sleep a lot of the time. Ordinary seamen have 12 on, 12 off, so they're guaranteed to have 8 hours of sleep at some point. In these situations, you'll be pulling up to port at any time of the day in the middle of the night, and they will call you as an ordinary seaman while you're asleep. They'll wake you up, say, go meet up with the bosun, and set up the pilot ladder or the ACOM ladder and help him out for the arrival of the pilot. You'll go down in the middle of the night, or whatever time of the day it is, and you will help the bosun set up the pilot ladder and the ACOM ladder. Expect to be off the side of the ship on an ACOM ladder in the middle of the night, pitch black, tying knots, tying the ACOM ladder to the pigeonholes on the ship, tying the pilot ladder to the ship, making it so secure because those pilots get really mad if those things are messed up, which is understandable because it's their life on the line at the end of the day. You will be helping in any sort of way that the bosun needs, and you'll just be listening and doing what needs to get done because the bosun is in charge and you're just an entry-level ordinary seaman. Don't try to tell him that this way's better or this way's not. If you see something dangerous, yeah, speak up, but he's in charge. Let the man work. But after you get the pilot on board, you'll probably walk him up to the bridge, show him the route to get to the bridge so he can help get that ship through the harbor and into the port. That is his job. He's basically a really high-paid valet driver. Sometimes he just tells the AB how to steer the ship. That's all he does. But it's a very hard job. Now that the pilot's on top, ordinary seaman will be sitting back in his room waiting to be called for the mooring operations. And then you will continue, go downstairs, meet up with either the stern or the bow, wherever your position is, and help moor the ship. Now that you are moored and the gangway is down, you are either working at the daytime, like a normal day, and when it's nighttime, you can go out for 12 hours straight to whatever port you want to and enjoy yourself. I had some of the best memories of my life as an ordinary seaman, going out and enjoying the town in foreign countries. Always a great time. Because as an AB, you have to worry about your watch. You might only have 8 hours to go to port. And then you got to go back to work. As an ordinary seaman, you have 12 hours. As soon as dinner's over, you're gone. And you might even skip dinner. Skip dinner, go eat out in port. And you have all that time to enjoy yourself and enjoy your life. And then the cycle starts over again. You wake up, start your sanitary, do your day work with the bosun, and move on. It's a cycle for an ordinary seaman. You do basically the same thing for months. The only thing that really keeps you on your toes is things like mooring operations, things like drills, which you will be involved with either on a monthly basis or a weekly basis. Firefighting drills, lifeboat drills, whatever the ship requires. Assist in that. Usually you'll be the guy suiting up too. They want the entry-level guys to suit up in the fire gear, so they're very aware of it. It's not bad. Easy stuff. Go enjoy yourself when you can, because the cycle gets very, tedious. Now, going over to a tanker, it can be a little different. Working on an oil tanker, it's a little different for ordinary seamen most of the time, because there you will be a watchstander as well. When you are in port only, so when you're crossing the Atlantic or the Pacific, wherever that tanker's going, you will stand the normal lifestyle that I mentioned before. You'll be a dayman doing that life. But when you get to port, you need to be a watchstander with an AB. The reason for that is on a tanker, you need someone to man the gangway and man the pressure of the cargo going through the hoses. They are watched, engaged through the pressure and the flow of these liquids to make sure everything is looking good on the pressure valves and nothing's too dangerous and there's no leaks and typical stuff like that. And while one guy is doing that, the other guy is walking the ship and watching the mooring lines. Because when you discharge or load that much cargo that fast, the ship tends to go up or down with the tide and the flow of the cargo. So you have to either loosen or tighten up on those mooring lines so you don't break the lines. So if you're going up, you have to loosen the lines and make sure you got enough slack in the lines so they don't snap. And when we're going down, you got to tighten up the lines to make sure the ship doesn't drift away from the dock. Simple as that. So really the biggest difference between an oil tanker and any other cargo ship basically is when you're in port, you will be on watch with the ABs and the bosun. Even the bosun has to be on watch too sometimes. So nothing too crazy is different for an ordinary seaman. It's just, you just have more responsibility when you're in port, and it kind of takes away from the fun you have in port too. You still have the opportunity for it, but it's just less, which always sucks. But you know, it doesn't suck. Barely any qualifications at all as an entry-level merchant mariner, and still making $6,000 to $8,000 a month. That is awesome. And you can do that as an entry-level merchant mariner. If that sounds interesting to you and you want to work with me directly and meet mariners from around the world who are doing the same things as you, starting their journey in the merchant marine, join my Community Sailors Connect, link in description. And yeah, sometimes as an ordinary seaman, they'll use you for replacement jobs if they're short ABs or if they're short an SA. You kind of need to be the person who can do anything. As an ordinary seaman, this has happened to me before when I was an ordinary seaman. They were short an AB. Someone broke their jaw and they had to leave home. And we were short. So I had to go up on the bridge, stand that man's watch, steer the ship when I was very unexperienced. Luckily, I went through the SIU apprenticeship program and I had a little bit of experience. It gave me a lot of hands-on experience and it was nice. But you will fill in any place you need to as an ordinary seaman. I had to help the chief cook at one point clean dishes at night because they were short an SA. I got overtime for that, so I was making an extra hour a night cleaning dishes, which wasn't bad. So I was kind of like the fill-in man, doing whatever needs to get done. Hopefully you're on a ship where everyone is fully stacked, so you don't have to do anything extra. You're always just doing what you need to do as an ordinary seaman. Working 12 hours a day, 4 hours of overtime every single day as a dayman. It's great. Easy job. Sometimes life can be rough. Mopping the floors, mooring the ship, standing watch. Pretty basic stuff. You don't need any type of crazy skills to be a mariner. I did it, and I'm definitely not the brightest guy in the world. So you can do it if you want to do it. And when you do start your journey as a merchant mariner, I hope to see you out there and sail on.